back to Forza Horizon 5. It's another week in Mexico. We don't have a new car to unlock. We have the Anteater. It is the Aston Martin Lagonda from 1990, and I'm not even joking, it is one of the strangest cars ever made. Before we jump into the Aston Martin, where is the backstage? Oh, actually, before I talk about this week's backstage, last week's backstage had a bit of a problem. The developers realized that they put a car in the vote that's available in the auto show. So they realized their mistake and actually gifted the car to everybody and then restarted the vote. We've got the 599 GTO now and the Alfa Romeo. Bit of a skill issue from the old developers, but nothing to see there. Anyways, this week's vote is this. We can either vote for a French car or vote for a car that's not French. I think for legal reasons, we have to vote against the French. I'm gonna vote for those ones. 120 miles an hour. There we go. Across the line. The Aston Martin is officially unlocked. This wouldn't be an AR12 video without any fun facts about the incredibly slow Aston Martin Lagonda. Okay, I knew it was gonna be slow. I didn't think it would be that slow. That was embarrassing. It just didn't move. Back in the 1940s, I believe it was, Lagonda was like a coach builder back in the day, and in the 1940s, Aston Martin saw what they were doing and bought Lagonda. Aston Martin didn't really do much with the Lagonda name until this thing came about in the 1970s. It is the Aston Martin Lagonda, kind of a throwback to the old school Lagondas of the 1940s, where it's this big luxury car, and boy, was it a big luxury car. This car, when it came out, cost around $175,000. With inflation, in today's money, that makes this car $500,000. And you know what the most wild part about it is? Aston Martin, when they were developing this car, they put forth like a budget to develop it, and they went over budget massively for one reason and one reason only. You see the heads-up display, or like the dials and stuff, or where the dials would be? Aston Martin wanted this car to feel as futuristic as possible. As it turns out, it wasn't as easy as they thought implementing all of that. Just the electrics alone for this car went over the development budget by 4 times. I've got to assume they lost money probably on all of these things that they sold, but I don't know. All this to say, they are incredibly rare. Less than 650 of these things were ever made. They have absolutely tanked in value. You can actually find these things in, we'll call them less desirable conditions, for like 30 grand, 40 grand in the States, which is wild considering about 30 years ago, it was a $500,000 car. Aston Martin tried to make this thing as futuristic as possible, right? With all of this new technology. Except there was one problem and one problem only. Aston Martin forgot that they were in fact Aston Martin. Basically, all of them broke down. Every single one. Finding one of these where all of the electronics work nowadays will be nearly impossible. And the ones that do probably still work are probably $500,000, and the ones that, you know, became more authentic Aston Martins are a little bit cheaper than that nowadays. They are certainly one of the cars of all time. Wait, apparently Forza categorized this car under retro sports cars? Why? How about we make it a little bit more sporty? We've got a couple of different engine swaps. We've got our Aston Martin V8 to start off with, but we've got to ditch that probably. We can swap in a Viper V10, a 3.5 liter V8. I've got to assume that's out of like some Aston Martin. That's the Ferrari 355 V8. And then this 6.5 V12. It would have been really cool is if we could have had like the AMR Pro engine or something like that in this. It's not like there's not enough room under that enormous hood. We definitely could have fit one. I'm just saying. You know what? I guess for now, let's just keep the stock engine in. We'll mess around with our other stuff as we go. We're gonna keep it rear wheel drive, except we're gonna twin turbo this thing, and let's get it up to the top of A-class for our first build. Oh my. No. Kind of yes. I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of like that. To be honest, you know where I think this car could actually do really well? I think this car will be a truly fantastic rally car. depending on the amount of weight reduction that we can get from it, it might be a decent rally car, but again, we'll come to that in a moment. We also definitely need to upgrade the clutch for the simple fact that this one's definitely broken. Give it a race transmission because this one shifts very slowly. I definitely need some upgraded brakes. Thank you very much. Let's go for sport brakes on this thing. Then let's go for race suspension. Look at that. Remove 1,000 pounds from it. See, that's not bad. If I'm honest, it would have been nice to remove a little bit more weight from it, but that's not terrible at all. I guess let's just give it a little bit of extra horsepower to get it to the top of A-class, and we should be... Uh-oh. It might not be able to reach the top of A-class with sport tires. I'm gonna go and give it semi-slicks. The Aston Martin Lagonda is, in fact, very, very slow. On the bright side, we've got 640 horsepower and we weigh 3,500 pounds. Let's take a quick look at our paint jobs that we've got. We've got many Aston Martin colors. You can definitely see why this car looks like an anteater, huh? You can tell this car's from the 1970s, technically, because it actually has interesting colors. I wonder if the Queen ever had an Aston Martin Lagonda. Okay, let's see. Is it gonna be quicker off the line? Kind of. I don't know why I'm going up against a bunch of JDM boys and wait, I know why. I know why. Because the game, or because the developers decided to make this a retro sports car, I'm going up against Toyota Supras, NSXs, GTR R34. There's a Mitsubishi Eclipse, and I'm driving a land yacht. You want to know how this is truly not a sports car? Aston Martin wanted this to be a true luxury car. You know how when you're driving around in your car and you pull up to the fuel station, you need to get out, probably walk around to the passenger side and fill it up? Aston Martin didn't want you to be inconvenienced by that. So they decided to give it a left and a right fuel filler. You see those two holes on the back? That's where you fill it up with fuel. So when you pulled up to the fuel station, this thing is significantly better at driving than I thought it would be. And it's actually a win-win because of its enormous size. None of the AI can overtake me because it's so big. They physically cannot overtake me before the corner. Aston Martin was actually ahead of the curve here. This would have been Lance Stroll's perfect racing car. Big brain play from Aston Martin. Maybe it is a sports car. I really like my idea from earlier, though. Because it's such a big car, I do want to turn it into a rally car. So let's go all-wheel drive. What engine? I think the V8's probably going to be the best engine. Maybe? I mean, it's definitely the lightest engine. So yeah, you know what? Let's go for that. Now we can get some twin turbos on this thing. I have no idea how much horsepower this engine's going to be able to build, but I'm just going to throw some parts on and we'll see where it goes. Let's also get our off-road race tires on. That brings the class down to B class now. Okay. I guess we're going to have the PI room, so I might as well give it some better brakes and then max out the engine. With all of the upgrades we've done, it's still not at the top of A class. I refuse to V10 or V12 swap this thing, so I'm just gonna be committed to this engine, and we're gonna have to deal with it, okay? I completely forgot to mention, right now on the AR12 store, I dropped our holiday gift bundle. You can get a hoodie or a t-shirt with your choice of winter hat. You get to pick a black one or a blue one, and you get a load of stickers, and you can get 40% off right now. I'll have a link in the description down below. All of the money raised from selling merchandise goes directly into driving lessons for me. This is my Aston Martin AMR Lagonda Pro Rally Dakar Edition. Very special edition. You probably haven't heard of it before. Anyways, let's absolutely send it, see how we're able to do. Is this thing going to be any good at rally racing? Honestly, I've actually got very high expectations for this thing. But we've got to remember, it is not at the top of A class, so it will be a little bit slower than some of the other stuff that we build. Let's just keep that at the back of our mind, and in the meantime, just try to send it as hard as we possibly can. It doesn't get very much slide, huh? If anything, it's kind of underpowered. I guess it's because it's so heavy, all of the weight is just being pushed into the ground constantly, and it doesn't slide. Maybe in retrospect, I should have swapped in the V10 or the V12, but I couldn't do it. I wanted the V8 in here. Anyways, we will take mental notes for our future upcoming drift build. Golden made his off-roader with a V10 over 1,000 horsepower. it definitely leaves more to be desired, for sure. Yeah, Golden says it's a 7 out of 10. Not great, but not bad at all. Considering Golden went with the non-authentic route and with, like, the V10, I think I'm probably on the same sort of boat with you, huh? It's not bad, but it's not great either. If I could have removed an extra 500 pounds, I think it would have been good. Which engine is more powerful, the V10 or the V12? I think the V12, right? The V12 should be the most powerful engine for this car. We've already got over 1,000 horsepower. If I go and upgrade this to the max now, let's see. 1,500 horsepower for the Lagonda. I definitely will not be able to say it's not powerful enough now. I'm just gonna make my own paint job real quick, okay? Wait, what if I give it a Titanic-inspired paint job? Wait, boys, the Titanic-inspired paint job actually looks pretty cool. Do you think if we crash hard enough, do you think people will come and see our crash site in like 100 years? Stop making me race against all of the sports cars. An Aston Martin Lagonda and an NSX should never be in the same class. Correction, an Aston Martin Lagonda and a slammed 350Z should never be in the same class. However, it kind of worked. Are you seriously telling me that this car is better at racing in S2 class than it was for rally racing, and then it was stock racing, and then it was A-class racing? It's doing nearly 200 miles an hour. The HMS Lagonda is apparently a great racing car. All of the 12-year-olds are going to be loving this moment, though, because we did V12 swap it. We really are living that Forza Horizon 3 life all over again. Maybe the 12-year-olds are onto something. I try to be authentic, keep a V8 in the thing, and I hate the way it drives. I do the 12-year-olds thing and swap a 1,500 horsepower V12 into the thing, and suddenly it's incredible to... almost incredible to drive. Maybe the 12-year-olds were right. I'm blown away by that. That was incredible. A V12 swap Aston Martin Lagonda is the answer. I mean, sure, we hit every single wall, but irrelevant. DJ says there's even enough room in the back to paint me like one of your French girls. And on that note, moving on. V12 swapped all-wheel drive drift car. What a stupid thing. This is a terrible idea. All I need is drift suspension and drag tires, and we're good to go. Oh, dear. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna take it to my favorite drift zone. My PB, 245K. If I can even get 220K, I think I'd be happy with it. Just please slide, okay? Just please slide and get some form of What are we doing? What are we doing? Recently, I've tried to make as many realistic builds as I can. I think if you try to make a realistic Aston Martin Lagonda build, it is a waste of time. You're better off just not driving it at all. The only way to drive this car is with absolute full sends. This is so dumb. How is this working? I genuinely can't believe that this works even a little bit, and the fact that it works like this, it is so dumb. You've got to swap a V12 into the thing and turn it into the dankest of dank drift cars. I'll be honest, I didn't see this one coming. That is just... what the... All right, thanks for watching. I don't think this car is going to be topped for a very long time.